It's time to look at some dynasty trades, some player values to help you make those deals. We're looking at some players today, looking at their value now, what they could be valued in the future, and just looking at what we can do with these players long-term, short-term, whatever you want to do. Maybe give you some confirmation bias. Before we dig in, though, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're talking dynasty every day. We're talking best ball. We're helping you set your lineups. It's all right here. It's every day, multiple videos, and I'm going to be giving you the training camp news, and you'll see it right before your eyes with the clips. Click that button. Stop missing out. There's nobody like this channel. But Darren Waller has entered the chat, as we all know. We're looking at the keep, trade, cut charts, and that's going to be the only instant analysis for value you're going to get outside of tweets, and half those are fake because people don't live up to what they say. So what you're seeing down there is a spike. 32.8 years old. It's been a while since he's been productive, but we're with the Dolphins, a fast-paced offense. So obviously when you look at this is a guy that's done it before, but it's been a while. So how long can we get the rust off, and if it will come off, and will we gel, or will we go back to being the same? Those are the questions. But when you're looking at Darren Waller here, you're looking at a guy that's a speculative gamble. That's what he is. That is what it is. There's no like good or bad. It's speculative gamble, and you got to have the cojones or not to place the bets. Or if you want to sell high, I don't know how high it's going to be once the tight end spot. You have to find someone that's jonesing, because when you look at the numbers here, it's really been a while. It's been a while. We had a pandemic the last time he was really going off. 55 catches, 665 yards. He was all right in 2021 when you're looking at it by those terms. But it's really been a while. But we're coming back. One thing you can say, he's fresh. You can say he's fresh. We got some open targets here. 112 went to Jonnu Smith. They used the tight end. They got rid of Jonnu Smith, and picks coming their way. But you're looking at Darren Waller here. They made the move quick. They've probably been thinking about this for a bit. And they realized that this is an important spot for their passing offense. And they wanted talent there. And they want somebody that can step in and play the role and make an instant impact. Darren Waller's coming back. And really depends on how cheap. From what I'm gauging, social media, I think that's the best way to get the value of that. People are kind of on the fence and kind of scared to deal. People are kind of scared to deal. If you have them, just kick the tires, see what comes back at you. People FOMO over the tight end position very hard, especially tight end premium. That's the thing about this. If you like him, still kick the tires to see if you can get him. There are some managers that kept him through all this time. They've kept him because I've seen the tweets and I understand, because you're in a deep enough league. You got the moves to make. You got the spots. You make the holds. Darren Waller, though, he's right now in flux. This is why you call it a speculative gamble. That's why it's called a speculative gamble, because there's a lot of people making noise on, hey, you need to sell. Hey, you need to hold. Hey, I'm trying to still buy them. They're hearing all that. That's just telling you it's a speculative gamble when you're hearing that. That's like stock market analysis. That's market analysis, not just stocks, because you're also talking about commodities or whatever you're trying to buy in to get low, get high, whatever you're trying to do. That's what that says to me. He's a speculative gamble. He can go one way or the other. I'll say this. If you're finishing as a back-end tight end 1, you're just as valuable as like a tight end 26 week to week. And the tight end position's very volatile. If he's out there with a good route participation rate, I expect him minimally to be a back-end tight end 1, top-end tight end 2 if you wanted some analysis like that. With the upside of just coming back and being nuclear. He's back with his old coaches there to help him out where he was productive with. But still, we got to knock that rust off. We got to see what we're looking at in camp. I will have the clips on that. So click that subscribe button if you want to see what he's looking like. I'm sure there'll be a few. Dolphins have been quiet, but they're going to ramp it up. Ricky Pearsall's back. Many men. Ricky Pearsall's on me because he has one wide receiver 1 week from last year. Wide receiver 33 right now in value. A little bit of uptick, not much. Holding strong. And this is another speculative gamble. We're not a young wide receiver, but we're young in the league. But still, we turned it on a little bit last year. And we know we had a slow start. And it wasn't his fault. But when we got the opportunity, we got the ramp up. It's set week 17, week 18, back into the season. But still, it flashed. And that's what you want to see from your rookies. You want to see some sort of flash. A lot of people look at the numbers and they hold them too much. You want to see some sort of flash going into the next year. You got that out of Ricky Pearsall. The offense is very ambiguous right now, and he's a young wide receiver drafted in the first round. And the goods to his game is he's good at the catch point, had some massive plays at Florida. He's good at creating separation. This guy has been getting better year after year after year after year. That's the thing about him. So he might be even better now. The 49ers have been holding the cards close when it comes to their prospects, the beat writers and everything. But he might be better a little bit. He might have developed. And with a full offseason, we'll know in training camp. They had more clips during the training camp time last year than in minicamp and OTA. So I'm expecting that to ramp up. More news coming out during training camp for the Niners. I bet Ricky Pearsall, a speculative bet. Now, how high can that speculation get? That's what you're looking at. Because when he's on the field, 14.6% target share. However, he was in and out, ramping up. So that's not really like true to character. Route participation rate, 55.5%. That's going to increase. He's probably going to run well over 20 routes per game. Maybe 22, 23 to 25. Maybe even more if they're running a lot of routes out there. But Debo's gone. Jennings is there. I like Jennings. Brandon Ayuk, we're watching the health status throughout the offseason, when he's going to be back and everything else. However, Ricky Pearsall, ADOT-wise, target share-wise, draw some comparisons number-wise to that. He could be getting more opportunity than realize. It's hard for people to pay bets on this offense due to how ambiguous this offense is. Christian McCaffrey, you don't know if he's going to be hurt or not. You don't know what this offense is going to look like. That's the thing about that. Wide receiver 33, who was previously around wide receiver 41, and he's starting to lurk up. He might lurk up a little bit more during training camp if you catch some good buzz, which I think we will. If we're healthy, we're going to catch some good buzz. I think we will. He's the young prospect, very ambiguous. He's twitched up. I think we're going to catch some good buzz. From there, you're going to decide whether to buy in, sell high, whatever you want to do. But I believe we're going to catch some buzz, and I think we're going to see this chart uptick a couple spots to a few more spots during training camp, middle to end of August. When we get there, adjacent players, Matthew Golden, Terry McLaurin, Chris Olave. So if I don't like him and he's gaining steam, you're looking for veterans that get value. You're looking for veterans that can be productive for you. Like Terry McLaurin, he's going to be back. He's got the quarterback play. It's going to happen this year. He's going to have some good moments. If you want stability, there you go. You got Mike Evans there. You got one more season with the Bucs unless we get re-upped on the contract. Jaden Higgins a little bit lower. He's ambiguous, but he's looking good. He's catching some buzz. Was the impact player to watch throughout OTAs and minicamp per ESPN on one of the recent articles. That is a dart throw because he looks like he's going to be the wide receiver 2 for Houston. He's going to be on the outside. That's something to look at. You can get you a tight end. You can pay down, get you a quarterback, something ambiguous, kind of like a Justin Fields for the short term. That's something to look at. Got a lot of options there to roll it. It's your preference. I'm not here to sell or buy or whatever. I'm here to just give you information and bump ideas off of you. Jalen McMillan. You guys are leaving him for dead right now. But honestly, when you look at the Bucs and you look at this offense, you look at Baker Mayfield. He had a good rapport. Baker Mayfield finished the season off strong. Wide receiver 56, that's a tremendous value. You can look at this in multiple different ways. Definitely not a sell high candidate. That was like February. That's at the end of the season. Emeka Egbuka brought in, first rounder. Mike Evans, one more year left on the contract. Godwin, we're coming back from that injury. The contract makes it sound like, hey, we're looking good, but you never know. Those are two veterans too. And you're looking at Jalen McMillan here, who's got a good rapport with Baker Mayfield. How do you figure that out? You come to this channel and you watch the training camp clips with me, and we go over the news, because I have to look at the news to get those clips, and I hear that stuff. I hear it a lot, and you'll see it in the videos, and you'll see it for yourself. He's got a good rapport. He had that going into the season, 13.4% target share. There's a lot of bodies in this offense. There's a lot of bodies in this offense now that you're adding Emeka Egbuka. That's one thing you can say. You got Tez Johnson there. He's twitched up. They had a lot of injuries last year at the wide receiver position too. We were looking at guys like Trey Palmer, Raheem Jarrett as dart throws in season. We were looking at Sterling Shepard. We were looking at those names of waiver wire pickups and redraft for deeper leagues. We were looking at that. Jalen McMillan, when he came back from that injury, that back end of the season, don't forget that. That lets you know that there's a good probability we can be productive in the league. There's a good probability that we can have a good role in the league. That's probably more likely to be said. Being productive is very open to interpretation, but 82% route participation rate as a rookie, 8 out of 12.1, which is good. If one of these wide receivers goes down, Evans, Godwin, we're going to look at a bigger target share. We're going to get some options here and possibly some upside, but maybe just a good trending wide receiver that gets you okay production to play around with the back end of your roster, a wide receiver 56. And when you look at these contracts here, 2026 potential out for Godwin, and you're looking at Mike Evans. This is the last year, it looks like, for Mike Evans. This might be the last year. It'll probably get re-upped if he wants to keep playing, which I could see that happening. I can see them keeping the band together. I can definitely see that. Getting extended until it's his time, until his time to end. And he deserves it. He deserves whatever he wants, really. At the wide receiver spot with the Bucks, if he wants to move on, he deserves it. He earns it. He's Mike Evans. He deserves it. Godwin, too. But honestly, age is getting up there, come back from a nasty injury. They brought in Mika Buka, Jalen McMillan looking good at the end of the season. You look at what's behind them. What are your pivot points? You're looking at dart throw running backs, like day 3 running backs in value, 1B to RB2 running backs on their teams. Guys like Debo, if you're seeing if they can come back and bounce back up. Maybe like a Stephon Diggs. That's value-wise for the chart. I just don't see that happening too much in trade. Like, I'm not saying that's value. Value's different league to league, but I'm also throwing things out looking at the chart. So you can pay down to a veteran that could be getting targets and upside that someone's just trying to pedal off for something younger. Like you're a contending team dealing with a rebuilding team. That's something you can look at. Contending team with rebuilding teams right here. So you're looking at him, you're contending, and you're just seeing what you can do. Vice versa, flip it around. Courtland Sutton. He's great for contending teams, rebuilding teams. He's kind of scary. Wide receiver 46. That's what that's saying in value. But you can get a good amount of wide receiver 1 weeks. And he's been healthy for some time. That has been in his scenarios during the early part of his career. But 8 targets per game. Nothing to shake a stick at. He's here to party for a short time. That's what that's saying. He's here to party for a short time with a good 25% target share. 13.2 ADOT. That's with Bo Nix on the rock. That might even increase a little bit if Bo Nix gets a little bit more wild this year, which is great. That's elite usage almost. Almost push into a 30% target share, around 25%, but that ADOT of 13.2. I like that. 94% route participation rate. Wide receiver 46. I only want him if I'm competing. If I'm middle of the road, I don't want him. If I'm middle of the road and there's a good chance I'm not making the playoffs, but I'm just hopeful, I don't want him. I don't want him because he's not for long. He's not for long. Like, it could be a couple more years, but it's still not for long. Like, in season, you can probably deal him and get something back in return that could help you. Right now, no, because it's spreadsheet value football right now. Instead of, hey, I need this now to get the win. I need this now. Holding people over a barrel. That's when you really got to strike with a guy like this. Wide receiver 46 in value. I see that trending up mid-season as well. I see that trending up when people realize these numbers and they're actual in your scoring. I see that trending up mid-season. Maybe right round redraft season comes in August. It's going to trend up a little bit. And you're looking at him. He's a guy that you can pay down to if you're looking at those more expensive, ambiguous wide receivers that you're like not feeling anymore. You can go to a Courtland Sutton and you can get an older wide receiver who's going to get production as long as he's healthy and on the field. Contract says not forever. Age says that too. That's kind of common sense. But he's a guy you can look at. And if you want to deal him in season or right before the season starts in August is going to be your best time. You're going to see that chart bump in value. He's going to be a little bit more ambiguous. And you want to be chasing those contending teams. They're going to need those fantasy points. And if you're really thinking about that, ask yourself whether or not you're going to need those fantasy points. And if those fantasy points are going to hurt you. Kyron Williams, he's dropping a little bit. RB12 here. They got Hunter. They got Blake Corum. He gets a lot of touches. But those touches are beautiful. Those touches are beautiful. Allows them to get 17.4 points per game, multiple RB1 weeks. Only had one single-digit performance. One on the season. He is steady. He is very steady. A lot of that is touchdown dependent, but he is steady. He's very reliable. McVay loves him. This is a running back that I believe we're going to get much of the same until something happens. Something's going to have to happen because they had Corum last year. They looked at Kyren Williams. They even want to throw him in on punt returns. The internet went wild over that. We debunked that by saying the same thing. They like him a lot. The only bet you can make is the wheels are going to fall off sometime. You just don't keep getting these touches. An opportunity share, 82.8%. Second in the league. Number one in snap share among running backs. Just getting a lot of work. A lot of pass blocking snaps on top of that. Third in carries. And he never leaves the field. He's getting a lot of work, but he's also never leaving the field. Yards created, 15th among running backs. Yards created per touch, 52. Rushing yards, 7th. There's an efficiency dichotomy with him that you're seeing, but we're also getting a lot of work. Touches is what you're looking at with these running backs. Also, touches leads to fantasy points. They can also lead to injuries over time. Just how much pounding can you take? How much pounding can you take? That is the question. If I have Williams, I want Hunter, I want Corum. I want one of those guys at least, if not both of them, if I can, as handcuffs just in case. And you're looking at what you're looking here, Chase Brown, Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, Quinshon Judkins, Breece Hall. It's hard dealing for running backs. It's hard. You're going to have to get creative. You're probably going to have to pay down a bit and get a back-end piece added onto the deal. Whoever has those players are probably locked in. Like Judkins, if I have him, I'm not letting him go easy. Like, I'm going to make you dance a bit. And with a young running back with a lot of upside, that's what I'm looking at. And when you look at draft pick value, it definitely says that with Kyren Williams. Amika Buka's in the Kyren Williams range. When you're looking at Jason overall, you're also seeing Chase Brown, Bryce Young, Devonta Smith. Michael Penix is in there. I'm not saying those are values, but you're probably going to have to pay down a bit, get creative with him if you're looking to sell. Best time to sell, like with all veterans, in season. In season, because he's got a lot of upside to his name. That upside is huge for him in season because of those touches. Contract-wise, at the end of 2025, they're going to have to do a deal, or if he's going to walk. McVay loves him. I don't think he's going to be leaving, but I could be wrong. I'm wrong every day. But when we're looking at Kyren Williams here, could be getting a new deal. If those young running backs get the opportunity to showcase what they can do, could be over for Kyren Williams, and they might move on. It might end up being a committee by the end of the season. There's a lot of questions here. That's why the price is dipping a little bit. Kenneth Walker, RB15. It's the injuries. When he's healthy, he's golden, especially in this offense. He's getting more work in the passing game. He's got speed to burn. He's RB15. We're looking at that value. We're looking at what he did. An opportunity share, 11th among running backs, 72.5%. 13 with 53 targets with him missing games. And then on top of that, we're running a lot of routes, 20.6 per game. 20.6 routes per game. That is a lot of routes for a running back that was not decorated as a pass-catching back coming from Michigan State. But like we always say, you also want to look at the yards after the catch per reception coming out of college, because that's an indicator of what you can do in the flat. And if you can do a lot in the flat, you can rack up some targets in the right situation with the right quarterback. Route participation, 5th among running backs. He gets work in the passing game. Week to week, when healthy, you want this guy. When he's not healthy and it's up and down, you don't want this guy. That's the thing about this. He's priced in at RB15. You got to have a running back to be able to compete. You either want to pay up and get one of those top producers, or you got to money ball it. You're money balling it with him. And when you're looking at him, yards created per touch, 13th among running backs is fine. He's always like fine or okay. Yards per touch, 41. True yards per carry, 57. But a lot of these numbers, he's up there or okay. That's the thing about him. It's not like you're looking at the efficiency metrics and you're kind of scared. The expected points added EPA, 88th among running backs. That could say that. But when you're looking at him, he's very explosive. He's getting to work in the passing game. That overhauls it. Kenneth Walker, it's just dependent on your strategy, because we're going to be 25 years old soon. The running back position is going to be in flux. If he takes another injury, that stock's going to dip. That's probably when you want to go in. If he hits another injury, that stock's going to dip. If he has another season like last year, even though it wasn't a bad season, fantasy-wise, game-to-game-wise, maybe points per game, looking at that, maybe how you feel. But overall, that work in the passing game was solid. Zach Charbonnet is always going to be there. They're always going to use two backs. They got Damian Martinez. You're looking at where he's at. He's still kind of expensive, though. Like him or Christian McCaffrey, him or James Cook, him or Chase Brown. Mainly my take on him, which I bounced around a lot because I like to say all the takes, is he's expensive but not super expensive, and he's in that tier where you're money balling it a bit, but you're not scraping the barrel. Like there's some upside here, but we know where the downside is at, is that injury history. Him or Caleb Johnson. Would you rather go Caleb Johnson or go Kenneth Walker? Would you sell your Caleb Johnson's share and get Kenneth Walker? Or would you go Kenneth Walker to get your Caleb Johnson? Would you do that? A mid-2026 first? Would you use that to go get another running back in that Kenneth Walker range? Josh Jacobs, Chase Brown. Would you do that? Is it possible in your league? Maybe not. Maybe not. We're in July, so soon the fantasy points here for these backs are going to be more realizable. So the liquidity is going to go down, and the holding the bag is going to go up. So I suggest making those moves now, unless an injury happens and there's something that impacts the stock. But the liquidity is not in these rankings. That's why you guys have problem with rankings and ADP, keep trade cut, whatever the hell that is. The liquidity is not marked in. The value makes it strange because the liquidity changes that. Like, the guy can be expensive, but there's leagues where he's more liquid, so more discounts can happen. The guy could be cheap, but no one's selling him, so it doesn't matter if he's cheap because he's not liquid, dealable in the market, so you got to overpay in most leagues. But in ADP, average rankings, it's cheap. But in actual leagues, there's more transcendent value, more value to hold because he scores on your team, but stock price isn't really there per rankings. That's why a lot of you guys have trouble with it, with the rankings. That, scoring outcomes and everything else, but you got to realize what I just said is not baked in there. The trade value is not baked in there. Long-term player value is not baked in there. There's a lot of variables in there, so you got to talk on it all. Justin Fields, you got to talk on it all. This guy's lightning in the bottle. This guy's lightning in the bottle. Like, he had a bad season last year, football-wise. You look at those numbers, and if you moneyballed quarterback with Justin Fields, you're fine with that. You're fine with that. You're built everybody else. It really depends on your format, what I'm talking about. But you're fine with that if you moneyballed it. QB 24 right now, he has the potential to give you QB1 numbers, maybe like every other week. He's going to give you, if he starts a full season with the Jets, let's just say that. Let's just call it out like there. He's going to give you 6 QB1 weeks. He's going to give you 6 of those. Here he's on pace for about 4 to 6, maybe more, maybe like 5-ish, could be 7 with the Steelers last year. They're going to use him a lot on the ground. I think the RPO with him and Brees Hall are just getting out quick to Garrett Wilson. I think we're going to see a lot of that. So if you're moneyballing quarterback, Justin Fields, not for a long time, but for a good short time, he'll push it deep. Pass attempts won't be super high. I think we'll see a slower game script. I think they'll run a lot of clock with the run game. I expect that. I'm not expecting good efficiency, top tier. I'm expecting to be okay. I'm expecting him to pepper Garrett Wilson. You got other wide receivers there. I'm expecting the run game to be heavy. I expect that RPO to be used. I expect to be used a lot more than in Pittsburgh. I expect him to be a good money ball quarterback that you're playing lineups with, adjacent players. I mean, you're either in or you're out. We all know Justin Fields. We all know that this is another speculative gamble here. You're either in or you're out. He's cheaper. He's cheaper than some of the quarterbacks. He's more expensive than some of the quarterbacks too. You're either in or you're out. That's all it is. Chuba Hubbard. He's always a discount. RB21, he's cheap. If you're looking for a running back that is consistent, a couple low games, 3 of them, week 15, 13, and 8 in week 1. After that, solid. He was one of the better running backs in fantasy. Him and Rico Dowdle might be sharing some of the work because last year, going into the season, right before week 1 and kind of around week 1, but that was a weird game against the Saints where they got blew out, they were talking about sharing the backfield with Miles Sanders. And Miles Sanders is an all-star in training camp. He is a training camp all-star, and you would know that if you followed the channel. And then we called that out going into the season that they were talking about splitting the reps. We did not know what was going to happen with that. Chuba Hubbard let things know that he's a better player when it comes to in-game. Some guys turn it on when the lights come on. Chuba Hubbard's one of those guys, and we saw that last year. Very efficient. even with him sharing the rock, I expect him to be productive at that price. I mean, he's not going to be your number one running back anyways, and you're looking at everything else. Very efficient. Yards per created, per touch, 36 among running backs. Fourth in opportunity share. That should reduce a little bit with Rico Dowdle. Route participation rates up there. We're getting a lot of work, but we didn't get too much work. If you look at this when it comes to attempts, a lot of work, but not too much work. We're not in the 300s in rushing attempts. We're just not. We didn't really go crazy in snap share. We're third among running backs, but it was doable. It was lesser than Kyren Williams. We weren't like pushing 90%. We weren't up there. Like, we were a little bit more doable. That's an indicator they want to use two running backs, because why are you going to have Miles Sanders out on the field? Why are you going to have him out on the field at all? That's the thing about him. Chuba Hubbard, he'll be all right. I think we're going to see a little bit of a reduction here, maybe like less touchdowns, a little bit less yards unless something happens to Dowdle, but he's still going to be used in fantasy. He's a great value back. They added to that deal and everything else. Potential out after this season, but he's a gamer. They're not going to get rid of him. They're just not going to ship him off. I'm going to be wrong on that. That's what that's going to say. But when you're looking at this, you're looking at him versus other running backs. He's a good deal. Like, no one's going to trade him for R.J. Harvey or trade R.J. Harvey for him. No one's going to trade R.J. Harvey for him. That ain't happening. Alvin Kamara is very liquid because everybody's expecting Father Time any given day, and he just ignores Alvin Kamara, so it's whatever you want to do with that. David Montgomery can be productive when healthy. Joe Mixon can be productive in his system when healthy. And that's really what you're looking at. Older, veteran running backs, or just veteran running backs who can be a little bit ambiguous in a situation. You can get yourself a good prospect potentially, but again, younger prospects at wide receiver, not liquid, not tradable. So you may have to go down a few pegs and bite the bullet on a little bit of value, because I don't think Ricky Pearsall, Luther Burden might not be 1-for-1-2 liquid in the league. So you got to be very creative with your trades to get that done. But those are the players we're looking at today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.